I got one good question for you. Are you looking to buy a house in the next 6 months, 12 months, or the near future? Probably the answer is yes, because everybody want to buy a home. However, you probably have a lot of questions, right? You're thinking about, what's my credit score look like? What's my interest rate? What my credit reporting look like? All these different questions when it comes to the home buying process. However, I got you. I'm going to show you what to do and everything you need to know when it comes to buying a house. So with that being said, you already know what time it is. Let's get right into What's up, family? I'm back with another one. Hey, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the family. So in today's class, I'm going to be going over everything when it comes to the home buying process. Everything that I went through, I'm going to basically explain what I went through, the credit score you need to have, the credit report you need to look like, everything when it comes to the home buying process, so your process could be much smoother than mine. So with that being said, go grab a pen, go get some paper, and you gotta get you something to drink. Woo, class is gonna be a good one. All right, welcome to today's lesson. So in order to buy a house, right, in order to pre-qualify for a home, you have to get clear on what you really want. What I mean by that, you need to have the end in mind. What I always talk about, like, what do you really want? So if we're trying to get to this house in the next 12 months, let's say in the next 12 months, we're gonna reverse engineer this goal, right? For me, what I did was, I got clear on what I want. So the reason why I started fixing credit was because I wanted to buy a home and my credit score was trash. So, and my credit score was horrible. So this is how, like, I came up with this whole process. This is how it all started. So in order to buy a home, you got to get clear on what you really want. So what I did first was I went to a mortgage lender and they told me everything that was wrong with my credit, how I need to fix it up to get to where I want. However, you got me. If you got things, things messed up with your credit, I got a whole bunch of videos talking about how to clean it up, how to fix this. But to get clear on what you really want is get in the house, right? So we're clear on what we want, right? In the next 12 months, if we're currently renting, in the next 12 months, we're gonna get to this house. So how can we get to this house in the next 12 months? So it's gonna be a process, right? So first thing you wanna do is find out where you wanna live at, where you wanna be, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, all that, the area, location, what kind of school area, like all that, you gotta figure out what you want first. So the first thing you need to do is find out where you want to live. See how much it costs for that house. I know house prices are pretty high right now. However, you got to get clear on that part first. And then in order to do that, once you figure out where you want to live, then I suggest you go talk to a mortgage, a lender, a realtor, somebody when it comes to getting pre-qualified for a house. Of course, you're going to need a certain credit score, but what you want to find out is how much income do you need to be making, how much money you got to be bringing in, all that debt to come. You got to figure out all that, right? Because it's not all about just the credit score. If it's just the credit score, then you'd be good. However, they take the credit score, they take the credit report, they take how much money coming in every single month, like how much money you coming in from your job, your taxes, all that, your bank statements, how much you got in savings. They put all that together. So what you want to find out is how much can you qualify for this once in order to do that, first you want to make sure your credit report and credit score is up to par. And in the meantime, once you have your credit report, credit scores, everything good to go. So you want to go talk to a loan officer. So you want to make sure your credit report, credit score. However, if you do go beforehand, what you want to do is talk to a loan officer and ask them, if my credit score gets to a 640 or 680 or higher, or a 720 or higher, and everything looks good, my debt to income, I'm making this certain money every single month, this certain amount of money every single month, right? I'm getting a consistent flow. I have a savings of this amount. How much would y'all lend me for this home? Or how much would I typically might qualify? Like a $200,000 loan, or $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. You gotta ask those certain questions. Once you figure out how much you can qualify for, then you can be like, all right, I'm gonna go figure out where I wanna live. Now, certain lenders give out certain type of loans and certain banks give out certain type of money. So you gotta figure out which one works best for you. In the meantime, as you're doing that, you figured all that process out, you gotta figure that out, right? In the meantime, what you wanna do is, if your credit score was messed up like mine, you wanna start cleaning stuff up. And it took me a process. It took me about 5 to 6 months to start getting all the things, and I still didn't have the best credit score because I still had late payments, because that's the hardest thing to take off. So what you wanna do is make sure in the process of doing everything, once you figure out everything, where you wanna live, how much you can qualify, or how much money would the banks lend you to qualify for a home. You want to figure out where you want to live. You want to figure out how many bedrooms you want to have, figure out how many bathrooms, you want a swimming pool, all that. You got to figure that all out. And then in the process of that, figuring that out, you got to clean up your credit as well. I know it's a lot. However, you got me, and I'm gonna walk you through the steps. So you figure out the end amount, what you really want. Now, let's clean up our credit report and get to where we need. So the credit score that most lenders look for is a 620 or higher. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. A 620 or higher. That's what, when I got the VA loan, all they wanted was a 620 or higher. 620 FICO score, not Credit Karma. That's not your real credit score, FICO score, right? So 620 or higher when it comes to the FICO score, and they take your middle score. So what I mean by middle score is they look at experience. So if your experience was a 640, TransUnion was a 625, and your Equifax was a 610. They're gonna take that middle score because it's a mean score. So they're gonna not average it out, but they're gonna take the middle score of all your credit scores. So whatever your middle score is, they're gonna take that and base everything off of that. So make sure your middle score is all good to go. Now, if you have a 720, 700, if you're all good, then you're good, right? So make sure you qualify. You wanna make sure your credit score is at least above a 620. You wanna get it higher. The higher your credit score, the more things are much more smoother, right? So make sure you have, if you can, get above a 720, right? 720 or higher, 740, 750. You want to get above a 700 credit score because it's going to make the process much easier, because I swear to you, they ask 1,001 questions though. If you had a missed payment, they're going to ask, why was this payment missed? If you have a hard inquiry within the last, they're going to ask you, did you get approved, or what's going on with this? If you have so many, if your personal information is all messed up, right? If you lived at this address, you lived at that address, they want an explanation for every single thing. If you've been through the home buying process, hey, drop it in the comments, let me know. But if you went through the same experience, but when I had a hard inquiry for this place and that place, they're like, yo, why did you apply for here? Why did you apply for here? If I had a missed payment on one of my credit cards, they like, why was you late? They ask 1,001 questions. And if they also check your bank statement. So if you basically, if you didn't have enough money and you overdraft, they're gonna ask you, why did you overdraft, and all that. I promise you, they ask 1,001 questions. So make sure everything's cleaned up when it comes to this process. So this is the reason why you wanna, I talk about it, analyze your credit report, analyze it, see what's going on, see what's holding your credit score back. The next thing you wanna do is focus in on and clean up your personal information. This is key, because if a lender look at your credit report, they're gonna be like, all right, you live here, you live here, you live here. I don't know if I wanna loan you money because it seems like you're unstable. So in order to not seem like you're unstable, you wanna make sure you have one name, one address, one job, and one contact information on your credit report. Clean up as much personal information as possible, because in a home buying process, after you pre-qualify, they're gonna ask you a lot of questions. You gotta start turning stuff in, especially if, let's say you're a single mom and you have child care. They're gonna ask, I swear to you, they ask a lot of questions, like how are you paying this and all this, where this money coming from, cash, why you have cash, like all that. Like if you deposit cash, why did you have that? Like, I swear to you, so many questions. So you clean up your personal information, you do all that. You wanna make sure all that's tightened up. Don't have any hard inquiries. Don't do nothing when it comes to the home buying process, because it's gonna drive yourself crazy. So make sure everything's sorted out. And if you need to build your credit, because this don't mean nothing until you, like if you clean up your credit, then this process matter, right? You freeze the snitches, you set everybody up. But if you need to start adding some accounts because you don't have, or you lack of accounts, like a credit card or installment account, you want to start adding some accounts, right? I talked about rent reporters, Rent to Karma, and all those different places, because that's going to help you build credit. And when the lender looks at your credit report, they say, oh, this person's paying rent on time. They're already doing everything that they need. So just make sure you have that situated. They also check for the last 2 years of your income tax statements, right? They want to make sure that you're making money, or they want to make sure that you have a job and you're stable. So they check the 2 previous years, and also they check the last 90 days of bank statements. So make sure you don't have no overdrafts. Make sure all that is perfectly cleaned up. Make sure you have some money in your savings. If you're in a process of buying a home, you want to put money away every single week. Every time you get a paycheck, put money away. They like to see that you're saving money, because they're like, oh, this person can manage their money. They're good when it comes to that. So put money away, do all that. So to wrap this all up, because I know I'm talking a lot, make sure your credit score is above a 700, but you could qualify if you had a 620. However, if you can get it to a 700 above, you're good. Make sure your your bank statements are good. Make sure they have no overdrafts or nothing like that. Make sure you've been at a job for the last 2 years, because they do check that. And if you have only been at the job for a year, just talk to a loan officer. There are certain banks out there that will help you out when it comes to that. Make sure you're working for at least 40 hours or more. Make sure you're doing, to make sure you're not applying for anything, because if you are, they're gonna ask you 1,001 questions. So make sure you clean all that up. I hope this helps you out. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. You know I got you. I'll see you in the next class. And if you have trouble fixing your credit, hey, just watch this video right here.